There we go. Okay, we're good. So I guess we'll maybe wait one more minute and then start.
Okay.
Yeah. She asked me to set the record to the cloud as we were getting ready to roll.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think they replay them. Are you destaging it all today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had 2 more today.
Wow.
So I have a consult and then a photo prep. So yeah, it's busy.
Yeah, it is
busy.
I was just having this conversation with a seller today. I was at the house doing photos and measurements, and they were saying like, oh, we were thinking, maybe we really should put in more effort, even though it's such a seller's market. And I was like, smart cookie, A+ for you. This is
Yes.
absolutely the right way to think about this.
Yes, 100%.
And it was so nice to hear him say it. He was like, we have a cash offer. The house isn't even like, it's coming soon, but we're going to do showings anyway to see what happens. And if we do that, we want to make sure we get the strongest offer possible. And I was like, you have a good agent working with you. I wish they had staged. It was vacant.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's always hard.
Yeah.
But I just talked to an agent this morning because I saw one of her listings finally closed. She had told me before, she says, it's sold for over ask, because I was so surprised. And I'm like, well, I'm not surprised, but okay. But then I found out this morning it went 50,000 over again. And that was just off of a consultation. And the better part about it was that she says that the buyers never even walked into the house. They just did it from pictures.
That's nuts. Well, yeah, that of course.
Just from
that gives them
pictures.
that push.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
So yeah, it pays off.
It does.
And that's not the first one that sold for 50,000 over just based off of a
It's
consultation.
average, what, like 10-15% over asking normally in this area, basically? That's what the houses are going for?
I've never done percent. I should know this. I should have looked
Yeah, I
that up
haven't looked up the
beforehand.
exact percent.
yeah,
I
I
can
should get the
speak just
numbers
from
here.
personal anecdotes.
Yeah.
It was not normal to do that much over asking
Yeah.
a couple years ago. Because
Okay.
when we moved here in the area, that
Right.
was not the situation. We thought we were making a strong offer, just in my own personal experience,
Right.
offering at
Yeah.
asking.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the house in one try. So
Yeah.
so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the data looks long term, like 20-year average or whatever for this market. With this big change right at the end.
Yeah. Before the market went nuts.
Yes.
Our success rate was 90% of our homes listed sold at or above list price.
Mhm.
Now it's all
All of them.
it's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was before the market went nuts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So 90% is high.
Yeah.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah,
good
I'd
average.
say that's a really good success rate, right?
Sure.
And I'll probably talk about this. So they're getting the pre-recording here, the preview, but we also, I've also taken the statistics of everybody that's turned me down. Like, we will go back and look like, okay, all these people turned us down. What happened to them?
Right.
90% of them took significant price reductions
Oh.
Wow.
that were over the staging investment.
Even in this market?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And suffered days on market like over 60.
Right.
So the ones like in this market now, no, they're still not lasting. They're still selling fast, which I'll tell them. I'll be honest with you, you will still sell fast, but if you stage, you're going to sell for more.
Yeah.
And yeah, every time.
Yep.
So when they don't stage, they might get 10 to 15 over 1,000 meaning. But when they do stage, they're getting 25, 35, 50, $75,000 over list.
Yeah. That's
So-
a significant investment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we get going since I guess
Sure.
we're ready.
Sure.
It's 10:08, so we'll
Okay.
get started.
Latasha, are you ready for us?
Yes, I'm actually on the way to the office, so yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, great.
All right.
Okay. So Thank you for coming, George.
Yes.
It's fun.
I'm sure a few people will still be trickling in here.
It's great. It's great to be here.
Great. Well, today our class, we're going to be talking about improving your brand, right? Because your brand it's all about you. That's what sells you to your clients, right? So I'm Cherie Medeiros. I'm the owner of First Impression Home Staging. I am professionally trained. We are insured. What else do I have up there? Full service home staging company. That's the key word right there.
And I'm Janine Matthews. I'm the owner of JR Photography. I'm a full service listing prep photographer. So in addition to photos, I also offer video service, 3D tour service, and measurements. I've been professionally a photographer for real estate for several years, and I've been photographing generally for well over 10 at this point in time. So happy to be here. Hi.
Yes, absolutely. Hi.
We have an intimate audience today.
You're on Zoom too, or no?
We're on Zoom
We're
as
on
well.
Zoom as
We have
well.
one
That's
on
what it is.
Zoom
Oh,
Live.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's your name?
Mark.
Mark. Good to meet you. That's my father's
Nice to meet
name.
you, Mark.
We just started, so you haven't missed anything.
Okay, great.
Yep. So why does our brand matter to us? It matters for our online photos, right? That is where people are going to probably see us first, right? On your website, on your social media. It kind of sets the tone, right? You want to make sure your headshot looks nice and pretty and nice, right? Okay, maybe not pretty for the men in the house, but we want to make sure those look good, right? That is your brand. It represents your brand, okay? Why else does your brand matter? It matters at open houses, right? At open houses, people are actually interviewing you at that point, right? They walk into a house that looks amazing and beautiful, and they're thinking, that's the agent that I want to use. Because if they can make that house look that good, I want to use them.
Yep.
Okay. I've had several instances now where agents have received new business based off of the listing from the neighbors.
Yep.
So they walk into the open houses and they're like, oh, wow, that person just got so much over ask. That's the agent I want. It's happened a few times now.
And I will say, if you think about it, an open house attracts probably curious neighbors just as much as interest from buyers out there. And usually what those neighbors will do is they'll check it out, they'll talk to you, they'll be like, Then they're going to go online as soon as they get back home and look on the couch and see what's up. They'll be curious about the price. They'll be curious to see how it goes because it affects their home value very directly. I mean, think about pulling comps. So it's very important to keep your audience in mind where they may not know that you're watching. Other way around. You may not know they're watching you.
Right. She's touched on those last two. So let me ask you, who are you doing business with?
First shot, obviously.
So on your left, right? You're probably doing business with the person on the left, right? What if I told you like we're interviewing real estate agents? Y'all go through the same training. Y'all pass the same test. They each have the same amount of experience. Who are you going with now?
Still on the left.
Still the one on the left, right? Like, of course you are. Same qualifications, everything. Guess what? It's actually the same person. This is Charlize Theron. Okay, I think everybody probably here knows who she is. Are you old enough to know who she is? I'm just kidding. Same exact person, right? I know. I'm not that old either. I just have to mess with her.
It's
So
my job.
same exact person, but it's the way that she's presenting herself, right? It's the way that she's photographed. That's exactly what we want to do with our listings. We've got to keep that in mind, okay? We don't want our brand to look like the one on the right. We don't want our houses to look like the one on the right. I see that plenty of times. Let's not let that happen, okay? So would you believe that this is a $650,000 home? No, it just looks a little ho-hum, right? Nothing really exciting happening. The light fixture is kind of small. It's empty, it's boring, nothing's happening. Nothing is piquing our interest. You guys have already stopped looking at the picture and you're looking at me.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now? Now does it look more like a $650,000 home? Okay, all I've asked of the client was to change out the light fixture. Huge impact just on the light fixture. Now it's a little more to scale. $159 at Home Depot.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then you provided the,
And then we did
Staging.
the, yeah, and then we did the staging.
mhm.
So now the staging is making this place shine and it looks like money lives here. Hello. Some
Hello.
familiar faces in the house.
I want to draw back in on the comment from the last slide where it says buyers form their opinion in 15 seconds. Curious to know from the audience, is that 15-second opinion formed in the house or before then?
Before that.
Yeah, online.
Yep.
7% buy their houses online.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you may know that this house has a great yard and that it's shady in the back in the hot summer months and that the sun sets beautifully in this window and it's lovely at 6 p.m., but the photo wasn't taken at 6 p.m. It was taken whenever the photo was taken. That is all lost and that buyer is not looking at your property. So there's a big picture that you know because you have an inherent bias as the listing agent. You've done your due diligence, you've met with your seller. You need to make sure that information is available as quickly as possible to people watching your listing because once you get that eyes on the listing, you have people talking about it.
Mhm. Thank you for catching that.
Always.
So something else to keep in mind is right now we know the market is hot. We know that everything is going to sell. Again, we talked a little bit earlier before you guys walked in, is our listings are selling for significantly higher than the ones that here like on the left,
Mhm.
right? Significantly higher. So in 5-10 years, when you guys are still agents, are people going to remember the craziness of the market? Probably not. Like they just want to see your portfolio pictures. So which one do you want in your portfolio?
Out of curiosity too, agents in the room or on Zoom, do you know how sellers or buyers for that matter can find your portfolio? Do you know that that's available on Zillow and Realtor.com? Ooh, maybe not. So you can actually, you can click on an agent's name on a Zillow listing and anything that they've put on Zillow before is available. So if you squeak by with a listing on the left for your first one, it's still going to be there because this market will change. There will be a day in the future
Mhm.
in your career probably where it's a strong buyer's market. Something to think
Yep.
about.
Absolutely.
Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet for
Mhm.
better or for worse.
Mhm. Exactly. Okay. So what's the secret to creating your brand? We are. Okay. We're going to help your listings look fabulous online and in person. Okay. When we stage it professionally and we have it photographed professionally, you come out with amazing results. So we're here to explain a little bit about how that happens and how we make you look like the hero, because that's what this is all about, is helping you look like the hero. Okay, so what is home staging? Home staging is not just bringing some furniture into the house. Home staging is certainly not bringing a single chair into a room.
Or
That
a
doesn't-
single rug for that matter.
Or a rug. Yes, I've seen that. I've seen some odd things, or maybe a single piece of art. That's not staging. Okay. Staging creates an emotional response for buyers. They walk in and they instantly kind of feel like they're at home. They feel like they're going to move into this home with luxury, right? That's what we're doing when we're staging a home. Okay. We have our company, we're a full service home staging company. So we have the inventory, furniture, art, accessories, everything that you need to stage a home. Or I can help people that are occupying the home. I've helped Lisa with one of her clients recently.
Fabulous, by the way.
Always good to
It was
hear.
great because she already had great stuff. I walked in and I said, "Oh, this is going to be fantastic," right? She didn't need anything. She had a lot of great stuff. So we moved things around the home appropriately. We put a few things in storage, I think, and we made it work and it looked beautiful. And how much did it sell over list?
35,000.
35.
And it was and we kind of priced on the high end to begin with, so that was
Mhm.
exciting.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and it was in the high 200. What was it listed at?
It was in the mid 200s.
270.
Yeah. Yeah, about 270. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Is
sold
what-
for
Oh.
like
yeah,
over
it was-
3, right?
I'm sorry, I'm getting my properties confused. Yeah, we listed it at 270 and it sold for 310.
Amazing.
Nice.
Mhm.
Listed for 275. Yeah.
275, okay,
Very
that
good.
sounds familiar.
Took a minute to get those
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Sometimes like I'll remember stats and I'm like, how do I remember that? I don't know. So in case you didn't hear on Zoom, it was listed at 275 and sold for 310.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see the impact, just a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 2 hours. Okay. Had a huge impact.
And something in defense of your consultations, if you're in a situation where you're lucky and your seller has great stuff, you're also providing a service by providing a professional to help your well-prepared seller just to make it that much more perfect. Your seller doesn't need to think about that. And that in and of itself is a great asset to your seller because moving is hard.
Mm-hmm. It is hard.
Yep. And if you're in that situation where a consultation will do the trick, it's so worth doing because Cherie can do what she does like that. It saves a lot of time for your client, which always makes people happy.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I can do something in 2 hours that might take them 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so we talked about that consultation. Consultations are for owner occupied homes while they are selling the house. Okay, I provide them with the packet of information, everything, all of these things that I tell every homeowner. Okay, it talks about how to get themselves ready for showings and all of these things. What we do in that 2 hours though is we talk about their home in particular. And I talk to them about where they should be placing their furniture, where they should be putting their art, how to hang their art correctly, because most people have it way too high or way too low, or tiny little art in a big giant space, or vice versa, where the art is covering the wall. So we talk about proportions and all of that. Okay. Talk about where to put their accessories. If time permits, such as with your client, we had plenty of time because it was a kind of smaller home and she had such great stuff. Like, oh, it was so fun to work with her. We actually started manipulating items right when I was there. Okay. So when time allows, then we do that. Okay. Sometimes time doesn't allow for that because there's just a lot happening in the home. The homeowners need a lot of assistance, maybe. Maybe it's a single mom or it's a mom with some young kids, or maybe they're an older kind of retired and they just don't have, they're not physically able to do some of the things that I ask them to do. Then I'll come back and do a photo prep for them. Okay. In the photo prep, I am going back and manipulating the items that they have. Maybe I needed to bring some more inventory. Maybe they needed to shop for things, whatever it is, but I can go in. Depending on the level, I may need to bring somebody with me. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and get that home photo ready using the items that they have and possibly items that I bring in. Okay, when do we want to do that? Right before she comes in. Okay, because we don't want the bed to get messed up, right? Because we make the bed nice and perfect. So we want to make sure we get her in.
Yep.
Either the same day later in the afternoon or the next day, depending on the situation. Okay.
Sooner is better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unless sometimes people will just leave. They'll say, okay, you know what?
Hotel.
You've got that. Yeah. You've got the house all staged. We are not bringing our kids back in here to mess everything up. We're just going to go stay with grandma. She's going to do the photography. She's going to get the photography back to you within how long?
24 hours max.
24. Oh, she's amazing balls. Look at that. Within 24 hours, she's going to have those photos for you. You're going to have it listed coming soon. It's going to be sold in 48 hours and then they can move back in.
Yep.
Okay. How do I know this 48 hours? Because it happens time and time again.
Yep.
Okay. Talked about it like the pre-meeting. 90% of my clients, this is before the market went nuts, but 90% of my clients sold at or above list price in less than 48 hours. 90%. Okay. That's huge. 90% of them that turned me down suffered days on market well over 30 or 60 and took significant price cuts.
More than the investment of the staging.
Yes, more than the investment. I mean, I've seen some that took like $80,000 price reduction. It just didn't present well. People don't want to look at it. right? They don't want to look at Charlize Theron and Monster. They just don't, right? So this was an owner occupied home. We did a consultation and then we did a photo prep. Okay. It went from that to this.
Huge.
Big difference.
Huge difference, right? Huge difference for two reasons. Number one, it just looks so dark, right?
Yeah.
And it looks very cluttered.
Mhm.
There's a lot happening here. Okay. Now it's much brighter because we've used professional photography, number one. And the space looks so much more open because we've reduced a lot of things.
Yep.
Okay. We've manipulated furniture and used furniture from different rooms into this one in case because it was better suited.
Mhm.
Okay. This home in particular, this was way before market went crazy. This is one of our first homes several years ago. I should say within 8 hours of listing, 8 offers, it sold for $8,000 over list. I'll never forget that one because the whole 8 thing. I thought that was kind of cool. 8 hours, 8 offers, 8,000 over. Okay.
And that was back in like mid 2010s.
In the teens,
Yeah.
2019, I think it was.
Okay.
Yep. So vacant staging, the purpose of vacant staging is to increase that appeal. Okay. What do I mean by vacant staging? That is when we are bringing everything in to stage the home. Okay. We're not staging the entire home because that's just not necessary. We don't need to do secondary bedrooms. When parents are buying a house, they don't care about the kids. They do.
Yeah.
But they don't care about the kids' rooms necessarily. This is their time to be selfish. They want to know what their room is going to look like. So we don't want to focus on the kids' room. It's just not worth the investment for them. So I'm going to tell them that. It's not worth the investment. Don't bother. Okay. Let's focus on the primary bedroom. That's the life of luxury right there. That's where the wife falls in love with the home. We also want to do all of the living spaces. So the kitchen and the family room and the dining room. Those are key right there. Okay. Key spaces to stage. So the difference here's an example. This home was listed in June, vacant.
Last year, right?
No, this is a few years ago.
Okay.
This is also 2019, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing happened. No activity. The neighbor 2 doors down sold immediately, but theirs didn't. And the client tells me, she says, well, the kitchen should be selling the home. I shouldn't have to do all the staging. I shouldn't have to do this, that, and the other thing. This long list of
Reasons.
items that I told her to do, right, during the consultation. I said, you're right. But did it? No, it didn't, right? So the attention was drawn to this kind of ho-hum ceiling fan and the popcorn ceiling and this weird layout of this room that people didn't understand how to use. Okay. During our consultation, I gave her a $15,000 punch list. So thankful that she was on the phone because I'm sure she probably would have punched me. Like she was not happy about this $15,000 punch list. I don't blame her, right? That's a lot to invest. And that's before this, that's not including the staging. That is painting these rooms, update these light fixtures, do all of these things. If you want your house to shine, you've got to do all of these things. She didn't like that. And I said, okay, fine. I don't blame you. But here's what I do want you to do. There's one room in the house, you're going to see that I think here pretty soon, that I really need you to paint because it's just too dark. And then in this room, in the fireplace, there was this brass kind of like
Like a
accent
screen?
piece, right? So just spray paint that black. Just have somebody spray paint that black and then take down the broken shutters. So now your investment was $1,500. I think it was less than $1,500 as opposed to $15,000. Okay. Plus we did the staging on top of that. That investment was somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. I don't remember because they had a lot of rooms. They had the family room, a living room, an office, a bedroom, kitchen, dining room,
Yeah, den.
office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we took it from that to this. Way nicer. Okay. Now people aren't focusing on the popcorn ceiling anymore because their eyes have been brought down and now they can see how the room is used. first day by 2 p.m., they were under contract in November after Thanksgiving. Right? People are not really buying homes Thanksgiving weekend, really, right? So, but 2 p.m. they were. They had a long list of people. That was the first, and I should say that was the first offer because they had other offers that came in within 48 hours, people that had seen it earlier in the morning.
And then to the point of this picture too, like the kitchen makes sense now. The updates they did to the kitchen that they invested on
Yeah.
their own before you got in there matched the rest of the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the rest of the house just looks so ho-hum compared to the beautiful kitchen. Because she was right, the kitchen was beautiful.
Because what people will say is like, the kitchen was beautiful, but.
Now I have so much work to do throughout the rest of the home.
Mhm.
Now buyers realize, oh, we don't have to do all of the work to the rest of the home because look, we can make it look beautiful with our stuff. Okay? So here's one. This is our before picture. No, we do not want to stage this house like this, right? But I bring this one up because I want to make sure that you understand it's important not to have your listing photos with holiday decor. Okay, because that's going to automatically date the picture. We could have taken this picture on December 29th because people still have their Christmas stuff up, right? And then listed on January 1st or 2nd, but people are thinking, how long has this been on the market? Like their Christmas stuff is up. Has this been, there since November?
Mhm. I was going
Right.
to say, if you follow the Starbucks model of when Christmas starts.
Starbucks model.
It could have been as early as November 1st.
Mhm. So you have no idea, right? So there was a few things happening with this one. Number one, there was a whole lot of holiday decor that needed to come down. But also that room is looking pretty crowded. They have this big giant entertainment center that needs to go. Okay, so these homeowners, these sellers had the opportunity to move out because their new home had already been built. So they had the opportunity to go ahead and move out. I said, just move everything out then because you are able to. Don't move twice. Don't leave some stuff. Just move everything out at once and then let us stage the home. Same house, same room, same angle. But now we've used appropriately sized furniture and this room looks way
It
bigger.
looks twice as big. Like it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stunning.
So what's the process for staging a home? First, I submit the proposal to the client, okay? Who's the client on this? 99% of the time, this needs to be the home seller. And we're gonna talk about that here in a minute. But the home seller, this is their investment on their home, okay? Sometimes there are agents that will pay for this, but that is your call and that is when you are getting your full commission, 6 or 7%. Okay, that can all be wheeled and dealed in your contract with them. But the industry standard for staging a vacant home is about 0.5% to 1% of the list price. Okay, if it's not that much, we're probably not staging enough spaces in the home. And if it's more than the 1%, we're probably overstaging the home. So that's kind of our goal, is to make sure that we're right in there. But I usually know ahead of time. I can tell, hey, these are the rooms that need to get staged. I do the pricing. I look to make sure, does it fall in that industry standard? Yes, it does. I think I've had one time where it did not. Okay, so we adjusted for that. Okay, and I'll give these homeowners a few options. Maybe they want to stage the patio, maybe they don't. Maybe they want to stage the bonus room, maybe they don't. Like giving them options that will suit their budget and for what makes sense. Okay, once they approve which package they want, then I will send the contract for their signature. Okay, at that point, once I have their signature, we start the design process. Okay, our design process, we start choosing furniture, we start gathering our accessories for each room, we're packing them up, we're getting it loaded onto the truck. We get it loaded onto the truck the day of or the day before staging, really. Okay, then we have stage day. And this is really important. On stage day, please let us have the entire day. Okay, we don't want Janine to have to come in at 3 or 4 o'clock and we're not done. Okay, we never know how long it's going to take us. Larger homes especially. We had one last week. It was a pretty big home. It was like a 6,000 square foot home. We were there until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Okay, we work really hard, and that was a team of 4 or 5 people. Okay, it takes a lot of time to stage a home. Sometimes in a smaller home, we might be done at 1 or 2, but if anything happens, if weather happens, if a truck breaks down, that's never happened, knock on wood, right? If we need to do a double stage that day, who knows? Like maybe we have a pickup that we have to do in the morning. We don't, like, we have to work with the weather. Like there's a lot of moving parts in this. So please give us that full day to stage a home before having the photographer come in. Okay. And you can see the number of hours that all of this takes underneath here, right? D-stage day. So when does D-stage happen? That happens usually after due diligence and before closing. Because if the project is in the home, when the house closes, guess what? The seller has a beautiful gift, furniture. Guess who's paying for that? Not me. The client is going to be paying for that one, right? I've gotten in the contract, I've got that kind of spelled out, and I have their credit card information. So I will be billing them for that if that happens. Again, knock on wood, that's never happened, but I know. Let's not let that happen because that's a really expensive mistake to happen, okay? So who's responsible for what? The home consultation, that is usually the responsibility of the agent, okay? Why do you want that responsibility? Because that is what you bring to the table. That is your value add. That is what makes you look like a hero. When you tell your sellers right from that first meeting, from what the listing appointment, thank you, forgot my words for a second. At that listing appointment, you tell them, I'm going to have a member of my team come in and do a consultation for staging your home. I will have a member of my team do the photography. I'll have a member of my team run appraisals or do inspections or do the painting or whatever it is. Like you have this list of vendors, but that list of vendors is your team. And when you have a team, that makes you look good, right? So that's why you want that to be your responsibility. Photo prep. I talked about that was that additional service. That is your call. I've had plenty of clients, plenty of agents, I should say, that pay for that themselves because it was worth it for them. Because it was $1 million home and it was $1,500 for me to come in and bring a few items. She says, that's worth it. I'm going to make up for that in my commissions 100%. Even if we don't sell for list, I will. But it was worth it for them to pay for that. Okay.
So, excuse me, so it's a regular price for them?
For photo prep?
Yeah.
No, photo prep, it can vary really. Like it depends on the situation of the home. That particular home, it needed 2 stagers for about 4 hours. I think we were there. And we needed to bring in about half a truckload of inventory.
But what about the 2 hours consultation?
Oh, for the 2-hour consultation, that is $299.
$299 like
Mhm.
regular price.
Right. So we'll talk about that pricing here, I think, in a little bit too.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the next slides. So yeah, that photo prep, that is completely your call. And I will always, if the agent even thinks they're like, hey, I might pay for that, or I might pitch in an extra $500 or whatever it is, like, let me know first. I'll talk to them first before I present that to the client. Okay. And that price really can vary depending on what the clients need, what those home sellers need. Okay. Finally, there is the vacant home staging. 99% of the time, that is the responsibility of the homeowners. Okay. It is their investment because they're the ones that are going to see the return more than the agents are going to see the return. Okay. But again, on the $1 million homes, sometimes their agents are like, just give me the money, just send me the invoice. Tell me how much it is, send me the invoice, because they believe in it so much. I have a handful of agents, they just pay for all of the staging because they know and they believe in it so much and they see the results, it makes sense for them.
And it keeps that brand standard high if the agent
Yep.
goes that way, if they have the ability to do so.
Yep. And it's something that they can share with their future clients. Say, hey, you don't worry about the staging. I've got this.
Yep.
Those home sellers are like, I don't have to do anything. That's who I want.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Right? So that is totally your call. Okay. So here's a few staging tips for you. These are all the things you need to know that you didn't know you needed to know. Okay. I'm not going to give you the typical, oh, declutter, depersonalize, all of that. Yeah, you guys know all that, right? Some of that is common sense, but there might be a few things that you don't recognize. So here's that one room I told you about. Painting makes a difference, right? The lower left picture there, it was very dark. It was literally like chocolate syrup on the sides of the wall. It was very dark in there. So I asked her to repaint that room. Okay, this weird, unused room. We didn't know what it was. We staged it as an office. Again, this one sold right away. Okay, but you can see how much more open that space looks with the proper paint, the proper paint color. Something to keep in mind. Y'all heard of agreeable gray, right? Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It doesn't work in every home. It's unfortunate. It's a great color, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't work in every home, especially the homes that were built in the 90s. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got the honey oak floor. Agreeable gray is just not the right color for that house. Okay, I will discuss paint color with the clients when I get there. I'm going to be taking a look at everything. I'm going to be looking at how does the light come in? What color are the floors? Do we have carpet? Do we have hardwood? Do we have linoleum? What is it like? What's happening with the color palette? Maybe what's going to work with the style of their furniture? Because I don't want the super uber modern color on the walls with their very traditional furniture. It's just going to look really weird. That doesn't mean I need to go old school with the wall color either, just because of their traditional furniture. But I'm going to choose an updated color that will still complement what's already in the home and complement the flooring so nothing sticks out like a sore thumb. Okay? There we go. In the primary bedroom, here's one tip. Pillows, straight up and down. I like the look of straight up and down pillows because people walk in and straight up and down pillows. You're straight up and down, you're happy and you're awake. When the pillows are flat, what happens? You're kind of doing this and tired and we don't need that. We want the bed to look inviting. It looks inviting when the pillows are straight up and down. And it looks better in the photography.
It sure does.
Right? So, home offices. With COVID that just happened, we're still kind of in that COVID era right now. And a lot of companies are realizing, hey, guess what? People are still productive when they work from home, and we can save money on overhead costs by letting them work from home. So people need home offices. So we're taking spaces that aren't typically used for a home office and turning it into one. Most common, living room. This is a living room. We showed the buyers that, hey, you can easily kind of close these spaces off and put a door here, and this is a perfect place for you to put a home office. I tend not to do this in bedrooms because people struggle with seeing a home office as a bedroom as opposed to a bedroom as a home office. Anybody can say, oh, okay, I can put my home office here in a bedroom. That's the only option. But we try to suggest that in some other places, like a living room. In one home, we actually flipped the living room and the dining room because the dining room was really small and it was actually kind of almost closed in where you could easily put some French doors. I said, let's make that the office instead and bring this dining room out here that was kind of attached to the family room and the kitchen. It all made so much more sense. We just popped a chandelier there instead of the can light, and it worked out great. It was a perfect solution. Another one that went well over list. I think that one went for $40,000 over list, and I will say that that was before the market went crazy. Those were the numbers that we were getting. Okay, their agent is a hero. Their agent is amazing. She's been an agent for 20 years. She knows what to do. She knows to bring me in. Okay, kitchen tip. If you don't listen to anything else from today, please listen to this one. Have your sellers please put the knives away. It's a safety thing. Okay, I really need to look up the movement. I always say I'm going to look this up and I never do, I forget. It's scary how many agents are killed with the knives left in the kitchen. Okay, it's awful. So please, if you don't listen to anything else, listen to that. Okay, here's a few staging statistics. You can see it makes a difference. Okay, the key one, let's see, which one was the key one? Okay, 90% of the home stage before going on the market sell in 90% less time. Absolutely 100% true. Okay, kind of goes along with what I said, my own stats, right, of 90% of my clients. Okay, let's do it right the first time. Let's don't do, oh, I'll let you know, we're gonna try to list, and if it doesn't work, then I'll let you know and I'll have you come bring you in. You're already too late.
Wasted time.
Okay, days on market, red flags. Okay, have I done it? Have I saved homes? Yes, I've saved homes. I just saved one. I just found out the other day, actually, $1.3 million home. It was vacant. It had some staging in there. There was art placed in weird places and a single chair in a bonus room. Like it was, this weirdness was happening. None of it made any sense. Big giant spaces, people didn't know how to use it. It was on the market for 160 days. And he says, I realized, the homeowner called me, he says, I realized I should have called you to begin with. Yeah, maybe. So he brought me in, we staged the home, they relisted the home. It less than 30 days, so there was no time for it to reset. The agent said, no, we want to still go ahead and list the home. And in, I think, 10 days, they're under contract. So that's pretty good for a $1.3 million home that usually does have the longer window, okay? And after suffering that many days on market, we still got under contract. I had another one that was 300 days on market. That one was tough, right? I'm like, that's a lot. And the harder part for me was it was in my neighborhood. So no, I can't have that. So I went to them. That was my only cold call I've ever made. I said, listen, I'm your neighbor. I've got something invested. Your home has to sell because it affects mine. So I'm going to give you this complimentary kind of quick consultation. These are all the things that I need you to do. Please let me come in and stage this house. And he did. And he got it sold within a couple of weeks. I think it was 2.5 weeks after sitting for 300 days. Unfortunately, he did still have to take a price reduction, but it was still the highest offer he had ever received from before. So it still paid off for him.
All right.
Now we're going to lead into Janine, where she can talk more than me.
Yay. Okay, so just reintroducing, I'm Janine Matthews. I own JR Photography, work closely and well with Cherie. And we're going to talk about how photography plays into all of this. Okay. This is why you need a professional, guys. Do not let your listing look like the one on the left. It's not a bad photo. It's a great amateur photo.
Thank you. That was me.
But if you look at it, and this screen is tilted, so those of you in the room may see this differently than those on Zoom. But if you look at it, like it's okay. It's kind of tilted, it's kind of crooked, and you can't really see like the whole room. I don't really know how big that doorway is, but on the right, it kind of speaks for itself, right? You can see that there's a beautiful accent wall. It's an open flowing doorway to the dining room. There's beautiful windows, so you know this room has lots of light.
You can see more of the light fixture. She didn't cut anything off like I did.
And somebody paid to do that light fixture because Cherie told them to. So you kind of wanted to have its effect in the photos because like we talked about, people are seeing this as a photo first before they see the house in real life. It's just how people do now. They look online. So here's what we've got. Obviously, there's the MLS benefit. When you call somebody like me to come in, you get MLS photos that stand out right away as professional. That stacks up with your brand because those photos are online forever. You'll have people sell a home later or dig through the MLS and pull up the previous photos. You want them to know that you did your due diligence to your seller. Fiduciary duty, right? You want to make sure this looks good. The photos should exude quality. And then another thing I wanted to point out is if you send me in, you're getting the maximum number of photos that the MLS will allow. So for an average 1,200 square foot house, you're getting 35 photos. The MLS only allows 30. You get to use your discretion, but you're filling the MLS. For a bigger house, you get more. So let's say you're listing a 3,000 square foot home. I'm probably going to send you closer to 55 photos. Obviously, those don't go up on the MLS because there's a limit, but your MLS listing is full. And then you use Facebook to put the whole photo gallery up there. So everyone really can see all of the work. So everyone really can see all 4 angles of all of the rooms in the house. I take the time, so it looks
Or-
good.
I want to interject a little bit. For the newer agents, you've only got one listing, right? Use those photos, but just share one room. Okay. And then next week, share another room.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody needs to know it's the same house, right? You just have a lot of material though now to share.
Yeah.
And you can tell the story of that one. Hey, this home just sold in 48 hours.
Mm-hmm. So
Hey,
she's
this home just sold for this much over list.
So you're
whatever it
leveraging
is.
social media now to show
Mhm.
productivity. And another thing to point out is more photos on the MLS equals more photos for a buyer to look at online before they come and after they've left, which develops more emotional attachment to the listing, which means that they'll probably be more inclined to offer if they felt connected to the home for other staging reasons. More photos, more better, for sure. On the website, you can up the ante on your content on the web. Anyone who operates maybe a website, maybe has stock images, people can smell stock images from a mile away. It's the way it is. If you can put your listing photos up there as a banner, you can crop to some beautiful light fixture that you got advice to install. All of that makes your website look tailored, professional, boutique, bespoke, whatever word you want to use. You're going to exude quality. And you can use these photos. These photos have multiple lives when you pay for a professional photographer for your listing. And then just kind of honing in on what Cherie said again, social media is lead gen these days. So the work is done for you. If I go in and I give you 55 photos of your beautiful listing of a 4-bedroom family home with a bonus room, that's a ton of social media content. And if you're using social media smart, that's a ton of lead generation that gets you new buyers, get you new sellers, get you new investors. Okay, so with me specifically, I'm one of the only photographers in the Triangle that does all 4 services. I do photography, I do real video, not a slideshow, real video where I walk through, show the outside on a gimbal. It's steady, it's professional, it's level, it's set to music. You can see the features of the home and a walkthrough of the whole house. You get Matterport with me. I have that as a service. And if you're new to Matterport, it's like a 3D tour. That way people can click through at their own pace. Some people prefer Matterport over video. Some people prefer video over Matterport. Some people prefer both. But both are good options if you know for a fact that out-of-town buyers may be looking at your listing. It gives them another touch point with your listing so that they can get more familiar with it and feel more confident in their decision-making on offering on your home. And then the service that's not listed here is measurements. So if you've done the post-licensing course, I'm sure you've been frightened about how much can go wrong with measuring your house. I do that for you. I took the class. I have the rule book. I provide you a floor plan and detailed measurements taken of every room in the house, including annexes, attics, basements, separate dwellings, whatever you may need. So that's something to consider. All 4 of those services are available. You can get them a la carte. You can get them as a package. You can pick and choose whatever you need to do. I would say the most common thing that I do is photos plus measurements, because as soon as agents here, I do the measure, they're like, good, I'm never measuring a house again. So I figured I would just share some work. This is a house that was staged by Cherie. We did this one together in February, I think, somewhere in the early springtime. It was a beautiful house. This room that's big here was like you turned it into a sunroom. You did a beautiful job. But I think vacant it looked like, it's like, what is this for? This is just like some annex? Like, what do you do here? Is this just a path to the bedroom behind that wall? And it was tiled. I was like, why is it tiled? But the staging made it make sense. So kudos. Next one, different house. Just, you can see some things I like about my work are you can see what's outside. I work hard on that in my photos. I think that's important. That's something that you can't really do with the phone. I cover the inside of the house as well as the outside, as we've talked about. Here's an example of what a vacant one looks like, and you can kind of see the difference. That photo in the bottom, these ones obviously didn't transpose. We must have been saving at the same time.
Oh.
That's okay. So focus on these three. This got jangled, but a vacant house just doesn't have the same feel in a photo as a staged one. I included it so you could have some comparison. It's a professional photo, but it's empty. I don't know. You have to use your imagination. Same for the kitchen. Okay, so I'm going to show you and take a break from screen sharing here. We're going to see what a video walkthrough looks like. Let me bring it up. Any questions while I'm clicking? Okay, all good.
And for those of you on Zoom, if you can just chime in, because it is a little difficult for us to see anything that might be in the chat, just in case, if you have a question.
Nope. This video had an example of drone, which is something I've added since we made this presentation. We may not get cooperation from the video. We'll see. Yeah, looks low res to me. This one was just an occupied house. This was not one of Cherie's, but oh, we're frozen.
And the quality is definitely a lot nicer than what we're seeing here. We're lagging here a little bit
Yeah,
today.
we're lagging. We'll just watch a few seconds of this.
But she's capturing the story of the home as well, right? We call those little stories, the way that they've got those little vignettes kind of set up. They're
Mhm.
attention grabbers. What are we doing by all of this? We are grasping at their emotions of the buyers.
Mhm.
Because when those buyers are emotionally attached, they are willing to pay more.
Mhm. Once my mouse comes back to me, we'll look at a Matterport for contrast. Come on, mouse. We may have frozen. Okay. All right.
There it goes.
Let's check out Matterport for comparison. These are just two options. These are different houses. The Matterport I did for that one it's sold, so I removed it. But this was one I did yesterday, actually. Staged, but not by Cherie. All of ours have closed by now. So as you can see, the difference is you can click through kind of at your own pace, look around, click around. You can look at the floor. You can look at the ceiling, something you can't get in the video.
And the buyers can look at their own pace.
Yeah,
right?
and they
When
can
they're-
revisit it.
Sometimes when they're planning, like when I know when I purchased my home, I was out of town. I was one of those bought it sight unseen.
Yep.
And so I was doing some space planning ahead of time, so I was able to go through Matterport, and I thought it was a really cool thing.
Yep. And you can actually, if you pair this with a measurement and a floor plan, it's really easy for people who are out of town and can't come take a look to get a really good, comfortable decision-making process underway. So this is the gist. This is the difference between the two. Like I said, some people really like Matterport and they don't like video. Some people feel the opposite. Lots of people do both. Go away. Let's bring our presentation back here. All right. All right. Us, our deal. We make you look like a superhero.
Yep.
We're here to save you time. We're here to save your sellers time. We're here to make you money. because you saved everybody time. It's always a good thing. Money is truly time's money, money's time,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like she said, that is our goal. We're here to help you.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
So what we've decided to do together is offer a bundled service package for you when you're booking both of us.
Mhm.
Okay. So like I said before, the consultation is $299, where I'm in the home for up to 2 hours.
The big photography package I mentioned that includes all 4 services, photography, video, Matterport, and Measure, is $399. And then together, if you end up deciding to do both for your listing, we cut you $50
Mm-hmm.
as a savings. But your
Right.
services are available, my services are available. The bundle works great. We have really good feedback for people who have done it. There was a time, the house that we saw the photos of, where we did our thing, Cherie staged, I went in the next morning, did everything, drone, video, whole workup. And then the next day we were like, we can't hear from the agent. Where's the agent? We're trying to reach the agent. And then you finally found his wife, right?
I'm trying to remember.
It
what-
was the Holly Park house, and you were worried because you hadn't heard
Oh,
anything.
I hadn't heard anything. And I'm like, man, I got no feedback from this. And I knew they were doing, because she did the photography on Friday.
And it went live on like Friday afternoon.
Yeah. And they were doing an open house on Saturday. And I didn't get anything from him. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of a first. I usually get a quick note of, hey, thanks. The staging looks great. Like, what's going on?
Mhm.
Nothing. And Sunday morning comes around and I'm like, still haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
I'm getting
she started to
I start to
stress.
panic a little bit. I'm like, this is crazy. I happen to be talking to his wife about a completely unrelated situation. And so I sent her a message, hey, by the way, your husband isn't answering. Like, did the open house go well? And she says, oh, he's been on the phone for the last 48 hours straight,
So busy, we did not have
accepting
time to
multiple
return our call.
offers. He's too busy. I said, "Whew, okay, that was a good sign then. I think they went 50 over list
Yeah,
as
it was
well, if
something
I'm
like
not
that. It's like
mistaken.
55,
So
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
So definite another success story.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember
No,
which one that was.
we've done a few of those
So
now,
mhm.
but it works
Mhm.
great. And then kind of hammering back to your point, this is just as much an investment for you as it is for your seller, because it preserves your high standard of branding. It's available to you in print. It's available on the internet when people are doing research, trying to figure out which of the thousands of agents in the triangle they need to hire. They're going to check you out. This is a good way to preserve an advantage.
Mhm. Okay, so she mentioned the fiduciary duty,
Mhm.
right? It is your responsibility to serve your clients in their best interest. What is their best interest? Getting it sold fast and for the most money possible. That's how we come in and that's how we help you.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Kind of can't say that enough.
I have a story I meant to share about
Sure.
photography, similar to your story about the house that sat for 300 days. This was a couple of years ago, I got a call to go photograph a house. Driving along, I'm like, oh yeah, this is that new development they're doing. This is a nice part of town, la la la. And then I get a text from somebody I was working with, and they're like, you gotta look up the realtor.com photos. I'm like, well, there are photos? Well, why am I going? They're like, just look, you'll understand. And I was like, okay. So I park and I'm like, it's a beautiful house. It's brand new. It had been lived in for about 6 months, but then I think the family got a job offer in another state, so they needed to sell. The house had been on the market for 3 weeks, and there were 3 photos of the house on the MLS. There was a crooked photo of the stairwell with all the lights off. There was one photo of the living room, and then there was a photo of the bathroom and the master with no lights on. And there were no windows in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, I see. And they had done a price cut on the Monday, and I was there on a Thursday, and they had cut, I think, $17,000 off of the price of like a low 300s house because it had been on the market for like 3 weeks. And they hadn't had a single offer. So I was like, wow, this is a shame because it's a beautiful house. The windows were nice and clean. It was vacant and it wasn't staged, but it was a lovely home. It was 6 months old. So I did my thing and sent the photos over to the agent. She updated the photos on the MLS on Friday morning, and she texted me back, said that they were under contract on Saturday. I was like, well, that's good, but like, you lost your seller $17,000 by
Mhm.
not doing this the first time. So it's just something to think about with photography. And photography is an investment of like, depends on the square footage if you get just photos, but $99 to $199. That is like 0.1% of the listing price. Just
Mhm.
don't let it happen. And like I said, I get photos over in 24 hours. It is literally the easiest thing you can do to put me in there. And please put Sheree in there first, because as you can see, like a staged house just draws you in. It builds a connection. It has a reason. It has a meaning. A vacant house can be very beautiful, but it's not the same kind of beautiful.
It doesn't evoke that emotion.
Yep.
And in a vacant home, because they don't have their eye drawn to anything,
Yeah.
what they are drawn to is the features of the house that aren't so great, like that popcorn ceiling or the broken, the outlets, the plate covers, right? That aren't really that big of a deal, or the imperfections in the paint or the imperfections here and there that really in the grand scheme of things are not that big of a deal. And most people don't see it when they live there.
Mm-hmm.
But
There's
when the house
nothing
is
in the
vacant,
house.
that's what they see.
That's what you'll have to look at.
And they have all these unnecessary red flags sometimes. They really just, they don't need to have those red flags because they're really not that big of a deal. So making sure you are serving your clients in their best interest. That's where we come in. Okay. So that is all we have for you today. I do have a sheet over here of some of those staging statistics that I'd like to be able to share with you. We have our business cards here. For those of you on Zoom, probably get in touch with Taylor and we'll get your information and we can send that info to you as well. I'm looking up there like they're going to see me. They're over here. Sorry. So do we have any questions from anybody on Zoom actually?
I think that's
I
in
don't
the
hear-
other room. I think that was a voice in the other room.
Okay. Okay. Anybody here? Do you have any questions, feedback?
I have a question. Have you come
course.
across a property that is unstageable? I mean, it's beyond staging and you just say, well, it's not gonna happen.
Anything is better than nothing.
Okay.
Anything is better than nothing. So no, I have not run across something like that at all. I did have one where really I walked in the home and I thought, oh, I wish I could get them to move out. But I knew the situation, the financial situation, their home situation wasn't going to allow for that. It just wasn't possible. A lot of their furniture was very old, just kind of fuddy-duddy a little bit, but they were in Cary. So I thought, well, they have that going for them. It's a $450,000 home. So let's just got to do what we got to do. I gave them their list of improvements that they needed to make, some updated paint colors, remove a lot of stuff. Some of it they said, okay, good, we're getting rid of that anyways, because they're not going to take that to their new smaller home. Okay, great.
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. And yeah, they still went for, I feel like a broken record, but it went for $50,000 over list because she did a fantastic job of doing literally every single thing I said. Every single thing I said. One thing that I know that I'm really good at is reading people and understanding how do they need to be talked to, because that client needed to be talked to very gently. That client would say something like, oh, I really would love to be able to use this piece. It was, given to me by my grandmother, blah, blah, blah. She told me their whole life story about this piece of furniture. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good piece. So I honored her and said, you're right. This is such a beautiful piece, but oh my gosh, it would break my heart to find out that, one of the kids at an open house came by and decided to scratch it up or did some damage. And she thought, oh, you're right. I should put that in storage. That is a fantastic idea. See what I did there, right? There was another guy that he was a client of mine that was very much, I could tell he was a numbers guy. And he was a personality that didn't want to be schmoozed necessarily. He just wanted to know the facts. So I stood up in front of him very confidently. I said, here's the deal. If you do every single thing I say, you will sell your home you will sell your home above list price in less than 48 hours. If you do about half of what I say, you're probably still going to sell it pretty fast, but you're only going to get your list price. If you don't do anything I say, you're going to take a massive price reduction and you're going to be sitting on the market for a little bit longer. That's how he needed to be talked to. So he did everything I said. And he got his listing sold right away and over list price. Okay. I am not going to be that way with the 78-year-old seller. That's not how she needs to be talked to. He needed to be talked to that way. Okay. Some people are very joking and they're very fun and you can tell them, and I tell them, I said, listen, I need you to clean this bathroom so good. It looks like nobody has ever peed in that toilet. I'm not going to say that to 78-year-old grandma either. Right. So I'm careful about what I say and who I say it to, because I can read them pretty much right away. Okay. Because when I can connect with them on that level, that emotional level, I build that trust with them. When I can start putting some of their accessories together in a way that they never would have thought about, and I can make a really old cookbook look really good, their minds are kind of blown and they're like, okay, I see it now. I get it. And then they believe me. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that was a really good
That's a
question.
I have a comment and then a question, but the home that you all worked on, that one, it went sight unseen. And so that
Oh, it's
just to
another
me
one.
just speaks, and there were 6 sight unseen offers. And with this market the way it is, that's becoming so common. Pretty much everything does depend upon the staging and photography. It's just amazing. And then current listing is, it also has like a few sight unseen offers, and it just depends so much on the type of work that you all do and, and how you all do such a great job. And also, I just had a question. How do you handle, or have you encountered staging and photography for tenant occupied home? I just wondered how, because we have one that we currently have available as a tenant occupied, which so we're like, how do we handle that? You know, if we want to go the staging route, you know.
So tenant meaning that it's a renter?
Yes.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you on Zoom, in case you can't hear, she's asking about a tenant occupied home.
I have some thoughts on this.
I'm going to let you think on that first, because I haven't run into that situation yet. Well, I guess I would just say it's easier to have them, let's just do it when they move out.
That's what I was getting ready to say. The scariest things I've ever seen when I go for photography are usually in tenant occupied homes. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a good relationship with a tenant living there. You know, I think, but you do have to remember the tenant has no incentive, you know?
Yes. It doesn't matter to them if the house sells fast.
And sometimes they may actively want to prevent it because, you know, they may be losing their house, you know, kind of, that's how the lease is written, but that doesn't mean they don't feel the same way. One story I kind of tell people about a tenant occupied home, it was in a gated golf club community, 3,000 square foot house. A couple was living there with their infant twins. So, I mean, imagine being told that you and your infant family need to be out of your house in 30 days. That doesn't make anybody happy. It's not and you can be gentle about how you deliver that news. That's kind of on the landlord. Depending on what the personality situation is, that's a whole variable situation. But the family would not remove the dirty diapers from the counters in the kitchen for me. And this was during COVID. I'm not touching a dirty diaper anyway, just for the record. No, I draw the line at biohazard and biowaste. I'm not going to help you move that. But you know, it was like they had stuff strewn all over the floors, and it was a big house, and it was just a mess. And I started asking, like, hey, can we like clear the counter? No. Or can I turn off the TV? No, I'm watching it. And I'm not getting out of the living room either. And I was like, all right, cool. So for a tenant occupied property, I think it's very much about setting a good communication, comfort, and then setting yourself up for success in that way if you need to list it while it's occupied. by a tenant.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It puts us in
Doesn't always happen that way.
uncomfortable position.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
it's with it, even with the best well-intentioned tenants, they still don't have an incentive really. They can be good people, but
Mhm.
it's not their house.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah. That was another good one.
Yeah.
Anything else? We answered questions on prices, right? So I'm really surprised I didn't get the question of how much does it cost to vacant stage a home? So I'm just going to answer that one, even though it wasn't asked. I talked about before it was a 0.5% to 1% of list price. That's kind of that industry standard for staging a vacant home. Typically, it is going to run $3,000 to $4,000 for a typical home. Okay, that is probably staging 4 to 5 rooms. Okay, the 4 main rooms is that primary bedroom, number 1, the kitchen, the family room. Those 3 are pretty much in every home, right? And most of them will have a dining room. So those are 4 key areas. Okay. Sometimes if there is a home office, please do. Did I do that right? Did I do the math right? I think I did. If we did an office, that's another key room right now to do.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's so important. If there is a living room, can we turn it into an office? Like, let's make it into an office. But if there's a living room and an office, then we need to add that as a living room. So that's going to bring that up. Okay. So, but that's your typical home. Okay. Maybe let's say in that $500,000 range. Once we get up to the $1 million range, we're talking about bigger spaces. We're talking about like real detailed work. We're going to be in there all day long. That one is going to be a little bit more.
Mhm.
So the last couple ones that were like in that $1 million range were more like $4,500 to $5,000.
But it's
Okay.
a lot more space and detail.
A lot more space, a lot more detail, a lot more not more careful planning that goes into that. Okay, we really do. I mean, it was a few slides back. We really do put a lot of time into these homes.
Mhm.
Okay, and it is not just me. I don't lift sofas. That's not true. I do lift sofas. I don't lift them by myself,
Yeah.
though, right? I can't do this without my team behind me. It doesn't work.
Mhm.
So why would you try to do it without a team behind you? Okay, let us be a part of that team and let us help you succeed.
One other question I think we didn't get, but also we probably should have stated was if you decide, like, let's say you have a listing come up next week, how do you do the bundle? I would recommend contacting Cherie first because typically the staging needs to happen and I'm the last step before listing.
Mhm.
So if something comes up, if you get great news on Monday morning, yay, I get a listing, she'll
Yeah.
talk to me. That's another thing we try to do to help you out. If you indicate to her that you're interested in both of us, we can do a lot of the management of time and logistics for you. That way you don't have to
Mhm.
stress about being the middleman. We try to save you
Yeah.
that time too.
So if all we're doing is a consultation, then I can get that consultation done. I can give her the heads up. Hey, Lisa's going to be calling you here soon with a photography.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, I did the consultation, so she knows.
Mhm.
And then she'll do the $50 off at that point when you do the second, the second person. But you'll still have to kind of work out the timing because after the consultation, it might take 2 days, it might take 2 weeks, it might take 2 months for them to
Yeah.
prepare. That depends on them,
Yeah.
right? If we're doing a photo prep though, then I can communicate with her. Hey, I'm going to do photo prep on this day. Can you come in later that day or the next morning? Like, let's work out our schedules. Let's make this happen.
And
Same
if-
with the vacant home.
And if you need to reach me, like let's say you do the consultation, but it's like a wall needs to be repaired or there's some delay for painters or whatever. I usually need, I would say 48 hours notice to be at a property. Usually I can react pretty quickly. So if you call, but if you want to list on Friday, have me in there on Thursday. Ideally, I would be there on Wednesday. Like if you can call me 48 hours in advance to have me in the house, but it's preferable for me to have 24 more hours after I return photos to you before you go live. That way, if you need something or if there's a question or there's some time and you're coming soon doesn't get delayed.
Mhm.
But I'm a fast actor when you're ready for me because I have a lot less I have to manage. It's usually just me. I have a drone person. She's my one employee.
So, and as far as consultations go, I can, for the most part, usually get those booked within a week. Right now, it's a little crazier. I am very booked. I had a call come in just right before. She says, "Oh, can I reschedule my appointment? We were supposed to meet tomorrow morning. Can I reschedule till next week, Monday or Tuesday?" And I had to tell her, I can't. I'm booked. I'm back to back booked. So hopefully she can still do tomorrow's. Otherwise, it's going to be probably later in the week because I don't think I have my next opening is not until next Friday. That's a week and a half away. So I do try. And of course, right now it is kind of crazy market summertime.
Yep.
Right.
It's a high
So for a vacant home, please, 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 I'd like at least 2 weeks notice. Right now I'm booked out 3 weeks though. Okay. But even in a regular market, I still need that time because there's a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes before we even step foot in the house to stage it. Okay. I need to go, somebody needs to go, I need to see some pictures. We need to start planning that design. How much furniture do we need? Where are we going to put that furniture? How are our color schemes going to go? And now what accessories are we going to use? And how are we going to set them up? And now we need to pack them. Like it's a domino effect. Okay. When we need to reschedule a vacant home the day before, let's try not to do that. That makes it really difficult because I've got the whole team scheduled and set to go tomorrow. And if they can't work tomorrow on that staged home, guess what? Now nobody's going to get paid. And now we have to take up another day 2 weeks later that I could have booked a different client. So I do have in my contract, if you are canceling within a certain amount of days, I want to say it's 5 days, there will be a penalty for that because we lose money every time that happens. Okay. So that's kind of that's additional timeline information.
So consultation, it is a photo prep, right? If the people doesn't want to do staging, they doesn't want to do anything in the house, you help them to prepare.
Yeah, in the consultation,
$3.99. Yeah.
$2.99. $2.99 for the consultation. So yeah,
It is a photo prep. Yeah.
it can be a kind of a photo prep, but in that consultation, it's going to kind of depend on how much work needs to get done, right? In Lisa's listing, there was no work that needed to happen. They didn't need to paint. There wasn't any fixtures that needed to be replaced or updated or anything like that. Like all of that was in great condition. They already had a lot of great stuff. So I just told them, like, we started with, okay, here's how I want you to move your furniture. Here's how I want you to set up these accessories. Because we had enough time, once I was done with all of that, I said, okay, let's get to work. Like we've still got 45 minutes. And I started setting up accessories, asked, do you have any plates? Do you have solid color plates? Do you have this? Do you have that? I need a rolling pin. Like, she's like, what do you need a rolling pin for? Trust me. Right? So there are things that I know what most people have. So I will ask for certain things because I know how to put things together, and I'll set up all of those accessories throughout the home. And I'll tell them, clear all of this stuff out, but this is what I want you to leave here. Take a picture so that you remember. Okay. So some homes, yes, they can be completely photo ready within that 2 hours. Other homes, they need that full 2 hours of me talking, and then they need to have me come back and bring things in or go shopping or whatever the situation
Because
is.
for the new agents, it's kind of hard to pay for that staging in the house as first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I say especially for a newer agent, the consultation, that's really all that would be expected. And that is your value add. That is what you bring to the table. After that, don't feel obligated to pay for anything else, but sell it to the home seller. And I will do my best when I'm there for the consultation and convince them and let them know, like, hey, you've got 2 small kids. I'm asking you to do a lot of work. Just have me come back. Because when I can come back, I can really do in 4 hours what it's going to take you 2 weeks to do with toddlers. Do you really want to do that? That investment, like the 4 hours, I don't know. I want to say hers was a $500 to $600 job because she had everything that she needed. She just didn't have the time. She was like, it's worth it for me to pay you to come and do this. And they go stay with grandma for a few days. They were done. I think we did the photo prep on Wednesday. We had the pictures done. They listed by Friday. They were under contract on Sunday, and they were back in the home.
Yeah.
There was another one that one went 55 over, actually. So I don't know, 50 is like the magic number right now for us. So there was one in there I didn't even talk about. This is a fantastic story. Lisa walked into this home,
Oh, yes.
right? So I did an open house where there was a handful of agents from this office that went to the home that we staged. And I didn't know all the stats at that time, but this was a flip and the contractor owned the home and they were already over budget. And they said, we want to list this home for 500,000. And the agent said, it's not going to happen. The market here, because this is before the market went crazy. This was in January, I think it was. He says, the market doesn't call for it to be listed at 500 and it's going to sit. We have to list it at 475. He's like, no. It needs to sell for 500. He says, well, if you want to sell it for 500, you have to stage it then. Staging investment was $3,200, I think, for that home. They hemmed and hawed and they said, no, we don't want to. The agent said, fine. He says, you won't get what you want. He says, so I believe in it so much. I believe in Cherie and her team so much that I will split this with you. You absolutely have to stage the home. So they finally said, yes, we'll stage the home. So that $3,200 investment. Remember, listed at 475, they really needed 500. They sold for 550. So that one went $75,000 over list. Okay. That contractor has hired me for his next 2 homes. Same agent for one. And he's not asking that agent to pay for it now because he gets it now, right? And a totally different agent for another one. And they said, you did such a fantastic job with this house. My other agent has a stager. We don't want to go. We don't even care. We don't know that stager. Like, we want to go with you. We had such a great experience. Let me tell you guys, the wife, who's the partner in the construction or the contractor, I guess, she's an interior designer. So talk about being like under the knife there. Like, it was a lot of pressure to know that I was staging for an interior designer. And we pleased her that much. So another fun fact, stagers use stagers.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see our homes, like if I were to sell my house, I'd have to have another stager come in and do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to seeing my house a certain way, it's really difficult for me to see it through the eyes of a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I see my home through the eyes of myself living there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was a lesson learned from another stager in the area. We all talk, we all know each other, believe it or not. Okay. She couldn't get her house sold. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I have such great stats and I can't sell my own house. Why? Like, because, and all of them said, just have Cherie come and stage it because I'm the one stager in our group that has inventory. So I did. That was another house I saved that ended up selling. So stagers use stagers. Fun fact. Anything else? These are great questions.
I just had one more comment.
Yes, please.
It made kind of in reference to Hannah, right?
Yeah.
What you mentioned. It made such a difference between when we saw our client's house, even though they had nice things, but she went in and recommended where to move things and, just everything. And we came in and everything was arranged differently because our client followed 100%.
100%.
And it convinced me so much. I told Brian, I said, I want to have Cherie come and
Our house.
to our house and just it's like good,
Yeah. A lot of our clients say that too. Like when they come back and they see their house. I mean, I've had clients be like, oh my gosh, is this the same house? And why did we need to go bigger? Like, this is plenty big enough. What's wrong with us? And can you come and stage our house? So yeah, so we've naturally grown into doing interior decorating as well for people. In a lot of them are our past clients. We don't necessarily, it is on my website now. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but it is a service that we provide. I have, and my lead designer is like, that is definitely her thing. She loves doing it. So, and I'm there to assist with like furniture selection and a lot of the big things. So, yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's always great to hear.
I'm
So-
excited about, this is our third class we've been to, but we're just excited about, everything and what a difference it makes.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, this is my third time with you. So thank you for coming back. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
So
I'm not sure if you remember all the properties you went to, but I do think I remember seeing your logo at a showing I did in Weaver's Pond in Zebulon. And it's coming back to me now because I went in the house. I said, oh my God, this house is perfect. Like, I said, they had to use stage. And so when we came back out from seeing the house, I saw that it was staged. It looks like it was you guys.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
awesome. I love
There's
hearing
no
that.
way your house looks like this on day to day. But then I realized it would have been staged.
Yeah. There are times when people will wonder, like, why do you want me to move the table this way? Like, I can't sit back there. And I'm like, this isn't about your comfort level.
Right.
Like, this is about what it's going to look like in the photos. And by moving this table into the bay window a little bit more, we've opened up the walkway, and now your kitchen feels a lot bigger. So sometimes there are things that we suggest that might not make sense for the person living there, but it makes sense to her when she's taking the photography. And it doesn't have to like necessarily make sense. It really is all about the pictures. So in the way that it's presented. So people shouldn't be sitting at your table. They shouldn't be sitting on the bed. Oh, here's one, bed. Ooh, good one. We use beds. We don't use boxes. We don't use air mattresses. We use beds. Right?
It's a really big difference. I've
It does. It
photographed some
does.
airbed stages. I'm just like,
They sag like air beds or air mattresses. That came out
There we go.
weird. They just don't hold their form like they should. We just don't want to deal with that. So granted, we don't want anybody sitting on our beds, but I also don't want to have to put a stupid little sign that says, please don't sit on the beds. Like, yeah.
Because it's made out of cardboard boxes.
Yeah, we don't do boxes, right? It's whatever the reason, but I don't want to have that distracting sign, right? That's not where I want the eyes to be drawn to is that little sign. I want people to be looking around.
We
Okay.
have situations when they wanna buy the whole furniture together with the house.
Mhm. Yeah, that's always a possibility. Mhm. So, yeah, that was all good.
oh, well, good
I think
questions, good questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you all
Thank you.
again for coming. I appreciate you. If you ever want to see one in real life, talk to me. I'll have you come and join us like when we go to de-stage a home. And I keep saying I want to do another one of those open houses. We've been so crazy busy. I can't even get one scheduled in, but hopefully one day. Follow us on social media. We're both on social media. And then maybe I'll be able to squeeze one in here soon. I'm overdue.
Mhm.
Those are fun. It's nice to be able to see it in person.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Great.
Well, we'll leave you at that. Please come up and grab our cards, grab some staging statistics for you, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody on Zoom, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
This here's my card, and then here we go. I assume it's this one with the house that you want. right?
They're all
Or-
the same.
Oh, they're all the same. Okay.
Oh, crap.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
And if you want-
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't think about it until right now. The staging statistics, if you want it branded with your information at the
Yep.
top, let me know, and I'll put your info on there as well.
So your information